Hi, Tracy.
Hi, sorry, I was trying to get my stuff together. How are you?
Good, good.
It looks
Thanks. And you?
good. Looks very lovely where you're at right now.
Yeah, it's
It's
my
all
backyard.
painted bright. It looks beautiful.
You're having some nice weather for once.
I can't wait. We're having a pretty nice day out too. I'm gonna
Oh,
try to get on a horse today.
oh wow, that's nice.
Hi, Emil.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Assume you can see me as well. Yeah, good.
Start sharing the notes for today. And feel free to sign yourself in. Okay. Oh, sorry. Ben is not here, but it's 3 past already, so maybe we should get started. All right. Yeah, welcome everyone to the CDEvents working group. Today is May the 20th, and I'll just repost the link to the notes in the chat. So we have a couple of things on the agenda. Feel free to bring new topics up if you'd like to add them to the agenda. Just some quick announcement. In the beginning, we released 0.4.1 release, which is a patch release on top of 0.4. With a number of fixes to the schemas for links, mainly. But you can get the complete list here on the release notes. As part of that release, also we improved the way we validate JSON schemas as part of CI and linting and other checks. So we hopefully have stronger, better quality for those. Right, and work is in progress on the SDKs. Hi, David. Thanks for joining. So work is in progress to get SDKs for 0.4 version for the Java, Golang, and Rust. And one topic that David actually brought up is about one of the features we have where we use an enum or strings in the JSON schema. Yeah, I was hoping for Ben to be here, but maybe we can put this topic on hold for a moment and see if Ben is joining. We can bring it up later towards the end of the meeting to discuss it. If that works. All right, and quickly, just one logistical thing in terms of meeting schedules and upcoming holidays. So there are two things I wanted to bring up. One is we do have an APAC friendly meeting, I believe every other week. but we have not held the meeting for a long while now. We don't have attendees really asking to join the meeting. So I was wondering whether we should keep the meeting around or just cancel it now, because we have been canceling it anyways.
Yeah, I think we might not have had such a meeting since before Christmas sometime, I guess. So, and I haven't really heard from anyone down under lately either on CDEvents work at all. So I don't think that we need it actually. Maybe
Yeah.
just a message on the Slack channel, and then if anyone is interested to revive it, we could of course bring it up again.
Yeah, I can send a message to the distribution list and on Slack. That's a good idea. Thanks. So if there is no further interest, then we can cancel it. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, I mean, so holiday season may be coming up, so but it's still a bit away. But this year in the UK we have half term now. So I wanted to say that I will be away from the 24th of May to June, and maybe we can start recording if people are planning for holidays, so we can decide when to schedule, when to hold the meetings accordingly.
So regarding the meeting next week, then next Monday, you will be off then, I understand.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I will probably be off as well due to another private activity. So yeah, of course, the meeting could be held anyway, but without any of us then.
I have to double check, but I think next week's a holiday for us too.
Oh.
Let me double
Yeah,
check.
next Monday is a holiday. That is Memorial Day.
Yeah.
So should we cancel the 27th or should we reschedule it? I believe I could have actually the 28th instead when we normally have. Oh wait, no, I can't. No, sorry.
I would say for the US, we would cancel it because I don't think most people from the US would come. But I don't know how many people from the US are attending this meeting. And I'm always happy to be here. We don't really do anything on Memorial Day, yard work.
Yeah. I would say I'd cancel it versus reschedule it because we're just going to confuse the cadence then. That'd be my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So
Let's cancel it then. But then on the 3rd of June, I can drive it, Andrea, since you will be away anyway.
cool. Thanks. All right. The next thing I wanted to bring up, and we had a chat with Ben and Emil on Slack, and actually Ben brought this up. So it's unfortunate that he's not here. But basically, Ben's idea was we could start a new working group that instead of focusing on the specification like this one, would focus entirely on tools / implementation / infra. So I put a list of topics based on what we discussed and some more. Things like SDKs, event buses, the link service that we introduced support for in 04. Things like adapters, applications, plugins, and I added storing events, and maybe something we could discuss as well is like a public playground where people could send events which are stored for a short while just to get an experience or an idea of what you can do with that. As I said, we discussed this until now with Ben, Andrea, myself, and Emil. But also based on previous discussion at TOC, I believe this might be interesting. for you, Tracy and Steve as well, because it seems very aligned with what you were bringing up, that we need to have better tools to complete the picture around CDEvents, to collect them, store them, and use them for doing other interesting things. Yeah, so basically I wanted to see who would be interested in having a separate working group to discuss this topic. And if there is enough interest, what kind of cadence we could set up in the beginning, so that we could keep this working group basically focusing on spec discussions and having the other ones more focused on the other topics.
So I guess, yeah, as I said, now the spec discussions will be kept, I guess. We could alternate it, I guess, but the spec discussions in one group and then the rest in the other group. That's what more or less everything non-spec related was suggested for the new group, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. At least in the 0.4 cycle, we've had quite some discussion on the specification with new event types coming in and all the discussion around links and so forth. And now we have there is a number of cleanups that we want to do in 0.5, making sure like our naming and conventions are consistent, and making sure that we clean up the spec in preparation for more stable release in future. So I think we have a number of topics specific to the specification that we have right now. It might change in the future. Maybe in the future the spec will just stay more stable, but for now I think we have enough to discuss on the spec. And I think there have been a few working groups where we're kind of running out of time, to not have enough time to discuss in details things like SDKs or so.
Yeah, and I think that the time slot to use for these meetings, I guess it could be, we can see how it goes, but depends, I guess, on who will join either of the groups. I hope we will have some good overlap as well, so people attend both groups. But yeah, depending on who is in which group, I guess we can adjust the meeting schedule for that group. For me, this time slot here suits me very well, so I would hope that we can keep this for the spec discussions, which I'm primarily interested in. But of course, I will try to be part of the others as well.
Yeah, I think I think if we go that route, that we'll definitely have to spend a little time looking at when the meeting time could happen, because there's some other folks I know of that are interested, and we just got to see if there's not conflicting meetings and stuff like that. So there's some folks from the fintech group that are interested. So it's going to be one of those, put it out there, and I think we should solicit. The first step would be to solicit to see who would be interested and get that list of potential people that would be wanting to participate. And then the second step would be figure out the time slot that works. That's the way I tossed it out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Steve. So, I mean, for parties that are potentially interested, you mentioned some people in fintech. Do you know, are they part of CDEvents, Slack or CDF Slack, or do you have any contact so we can reach out or ask them to join the CDEvents distribution list or something?
Yeah, they're in the OpenSSF side, so and the one I'm thinking of, Tracy, is the NatWest folks.
Yep.
but I don't know which folks would be participating from NatWest because some of them are in the UK, the rest are in India, so that's going to kind of throw off the time.
Yeah, we don't know yet, so we'll just have to
Mhm.
figure that out when we get there. I can't answer that question either. For them.
Yeah. I mean,
But I
Ben,
think James McLeod, who is their open source guy, he's in the UK, and I'm guessing we would need to focus around his time more than anybody else's. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm.
If
yeah, yeah, right. I guess like you said, we need probably to get the list of potentially interested people. And I mean, Ben was mentioning he had some conversation with other companies, like Fidelity, JP Morgan as well. So there are several
harness,
potential harness, yeah,
yep,
potential many parties interested. So we probably need to
yep.
find out. Okay.
So in
Well,
terms of that effort, did we ever? I spoke to DC on Friday. Have you tried reaching out to Sasha to see if we can't get him to a TOC meeting?
not yet, but
Okay.
I was actually writing an email before this meeting, so I was trying to preparing an email to send to the group.
I just want to make sure that Sasha is in the loop since they're so critical to the CDF right now.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, yeah, I was going to send an email to the governing board and add a few more folks
Yep.
to the email. If that still makes sense. So I can do that after the meeting. I'm just writing it, and I mean we can see when we can all meet together to discuss this. I mean, the next TSC meeting is tomorrow, so I don't know if people will be available tomorrow to join, but otherwise we can try to find another time where that works for people. So did he say that he would be interested in joining tomorrow, Tracy?
I don't know. I didn't, did we, is there something that we had already scheduled for tomorrow? That's our
No,
regular
I don't think.
TC meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
He
that's just a
usually, he
regular.
comes, maybe we just shoot a message out to, I think Sasha is the more important one to get in the loop. Since Tadisi is well informed and Apple's already signed on as being an end user for the solution. So
Okay.
I think we should just wait until we can make sure Sasha and Dadisi can be in the same room together. And it would be great to get Fidelity in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I think what
Jared,
Sasha needs to see is what Fidelity has built.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was preparing an email with the governing board. I mean, Fidelity, Jared from Fidelity is on that distribution list. So,
Yep.
and also I think what SAS is built goes along similar lines. What they're preparing a workshop to present that, and they also use event-based architecture in their CI/CD and collect events in a kind of evidence store. So they have a similar approach. So I think the more examples we have, the better. So I was going to send the email to Brett from SAS as well. So because I think they built a similar solution as well.
That would be great.
Okay. Well, yeah, sorry, I'm not sure how to phrase it nicely, but feel free to do it. Okay. Cool. All right. Anything else on these?
Should we maybe clarify
Only-
that we intend to talk about the spec in one meeting and then the rest here in the other? So it's everything non-spec specific.
Sorry, Emil, I didn't catch the question.
Yeah, so should we specify that we intend to talk about everything that is non-spec related in this new meeting? So we understand that the existing meeting will be kept for the spec.
I think it's a good idea, just so people understand.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think also we can be somewhat flexible. So if there is some group of people and there is some question in this meeting about something that is not in the spec, we don't necessarily need to skip it if we have time. But yeah.
Of course, of course.
All right. Yeah. So the other topic that I had on the agenda for today was the question that David brought up about enum or string in the that we have in the spec. Yeah, so Ben is not here, but we can have a discussion without him and then see where we go. David, sorry, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I don't know if it's David or David.
This works, no worry. Hello.
Hello.
You want I try to abstract the purpose of this ticket?
That would be great. Yes, please.
Okay. So a little bit of context. I'm the guy who tried to implement the specification for the REST SDK. And when I with the version 0.4, I saw several times this kind of structures when we say the type for priority, resolution, ticket type, and maybe some other, we could have a string with a restricted value where the value could be ABC, low, medium, high in these samples, or any kind of string. The issue is this kind of definition is ambiguous in terms of typing, because we say it's a string or a string, but in one case it's into a subset of value and not in the other one. So currently I customize the parser and the generator to say it's always a string, whatever it is into it. And during this discussion, it appears that the enum value are more provided as sample or I could say examples than strict value. And also any-of has a kind of meaning in JSON schema, etc. It's more used to have it's often implemented as subtype. So it's why I say it's confusing to have string or string in this case. One of my proposal is to replace this kind of definition by simply it's a string, and have and use an example field and say you can use low, medium, high. It will ease implementation. It will ease tools that that generate documentation or programming interface from the SDK, and will avoid mainly custom work on those parser. I was clear? I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I'm not very fluent in English.
No, it's
No,
very clear.
Yeah, that's very clear. So maybe let me tell you, we had some chat about this in the comments already, but where this came from, so why we set it up like this. So the original proposal was to have an enum, just enum, so not having the alternative, and have one extra value that was other. And the reason why we care about having enum is because from interoperability point of view, having fixed values helps, because it helps having like matching values. Otherwise you end up with someone calling things low and someone with low with capital L and some calling them lower or something different. There are many variations. And then when you analyze the data, it becomes really difficult, because if some of the events are coming from maybe Jenkins and some from Tecton and some from Spinnaker, they have all slightly different values, and it's hard to reconcile them. I mean, it is possible, but we want to help reducing that kind of friction, basically. But then we had some discussion about the value other, because we said, well, not all cases will fit into maybe the list that we provide in the enum, so we could use other. But the thing is that if someone uses other, then it's not carrying any actual value there. It's not saying what the specific string that was in the system was. It's just some generic other, so users lose the ability to actually say something in that field. And so as a kind of compromise between to solve that, we came up with this kind of structure. It is clear now, though, based on your comments, that this generates some issues on the tooling side, which was not the intentions, definitely. And in fact, actually, it would be nice from tooling and SDK point of view if users had the ability to access the values from the enum as like constant or predefined values that are available in the SDK, but also then supply a custom value. But I don't know if there is any way in JSON schema to achieve that without going through customization, and if there is a better customization of one case that is better than the other or simpler from SDK maintainers point of view as well.
Well, what I also would like to mention is when you create a parser, when you see the low value in these examples, is it the low value from the enum, or is it low value into the other into the other string? So it start to have some kind of smart, or try to have some kind of specific logics for each kind of fields. And it's why I say we start to have this the issue, and often I try this code with several generator, and they always say it's string, and they get rid of the enum. I also try to translate your proposal into something more specific, into a language with an enum, and it's become harder for the user to program it, because he will have to say, I use the predefined value or the other value with a string. And often when you will try to automate stuff, you will always use the other, because it will become harder to say, should I use low when it's only lowercase, uppercase? What to do with lower? That's some, as you mentioned, some tools will use, and how to translate a number also. So it's why I think we can get rid of the enums. From the spec, it's also to have something that the spec translates the intentions, and to be aligned with the markdown. When we look at the markdowns, there is wrote string or enums, but in the example section, there is no distinction between low, medium, high, and other. It's the same. It's not other of a dedicated string. It's directly a string.
Okay.
Enum are really made for, as I mentioned, an exhaustive list. It's something you can add, but it's not this plus maybe anything. It's not like in a combo box where it's a fixed combo box, not a fixed combo box where you can add your own value.
Yeah, that is clear, I think. But still, I mean, it remains the issue that we were trying to solve. And I mean, just having string there would not solve the issue that we were trying to solve. I mean, it is an alternative for sure, but it remains what the problem that we were trying to address, of having certain list of values that is like the preferred list of values, if it makes sense. And I don't know what the best way would be to express this in JSON schema. I mean, the only thing, yeah. I mean, we could use examples, as you suggested, that is available in draft 6. Maybe we could combine that with some extra description to say that these examples are not just random examples, but they are meant as values that people should try and use where relevant. Maybe that's an option. And then we could have some logic in the SDKs that helps surfacing those examples as possible values.
To me, that sounds quite good, actually. I remember the discussion here, and I know, of course, that it could be very much possible to state lower or something here unintentionally, even if we have this enum here. So I guess this was just one, well, the best we could think of at the moment. But then we didn't know about the examples type, I believe. And I guess we could also use some kind of description that can be shown in an IDE or a with the SDK, stating that the highly recommended values are these, and if they don't fit, you could use your custom string.
Actually, I see one observation when I'm working on with the SDK generation. So when we use this any-of, actually it creates an object. So not any type of enum or not any type of string. So with that, so the SDK will open an API to set the priority based on any type of object. So it can be enum or it can be a string or anything. I don't know, like that's the purpose of it, but it will not expose any of this low, medium, high when I'm generating with this schema. So it just says it's a plain object, so you can push anything to priority. So it doesn't suggest like, so you have these options from SDK when I generate using this schema, the same example here.
And that's for the Java SDK then, Jalander, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was tested anywhere with the Go SDK or somewhere else in any other SDK, this schema.
Often in just when you have any off or one off with type, it's translated into into a hierarchy or an enums. It depends of the language, but we don't have directly the value. In this case, some generator like the quick type say, oh, it's string or string, so it's string, and it don't care about the value. It strips them. But often, yes, there is this kind of abstract parent levels to say, hey, you have to choose between one or the other. And it's become more complicated in terms of when the language use more composition. But it's, yes, we have a wrapper type anyway. So it's also why I say it generates to be conflicting and create intermediately useless layer in maybe Java or Rust or etc.
Right. So yeah, I guess in my mind, the option, there are a couple of options then forward to solve this. So one option would be to just keep the enum, and so do not allow other values.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's an option, but that we want to follow, but it's a possibility, and that should work fine with the generators. So with the tooling. The other option would be to keep string alone and maybe use examples to suggest some values. That would not directly expose those values in the SDKs, but we could decide to us either some custom code or to us some hinting at those. Yeah, I guess option 2, in terms of validation, option 2 is identical to what we have today, because anyways, what we have today does not allow us to validate, because we allow for generic string as well. So we are not really able to validate those values. With option 1, we lose the ability of having extra values, but we gain better validation for those. So I guess it depends which of the two it's more important. But yeah, I think it's so that's the current situation, I think. Or yeah, right.
I would opt for the free, the more open variant there, whichever option that was. for the core spec, and then I guess we have the opportunity to provide a schema URI in our events as well. And if any user of CDEvents want to deploy a more restrictive variant, they could maybe subset or subclass, how we just call it, in JSON schema, the schemas for these, and change the free string to an enum with exact values for their organization that matches better. If anyone using CDEvents want to have more control over the values here. But for the core spec, I would propose that we keep it very, very open. We could still include these examples or a description that might be possible to expose through the SDK or in an IDE.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that's my proposal at least. So to not get stopped by things. I mean, otherwise we will have a lot of PRs coming that we need to add specific values to these enums that we have in multiple places. This is not the only place. I guess we have multiple places with enums.
Yeah. I mean, the same discussion with JSON schemas community also about having the ability of populate the list of values from the enum starting from a database or a file or something like that. Or we could use a custom schema as you were suggesting. I mean, but all those solutions, they're not working towards interoperability in that sense because they're like within an organization. But yeah, so I would lean towards then using just string as well, same as you said, Emil. I think just using the closed enum we would run into issues. So I guess next step would be to discuss this with Ben and see if he's on board as well with his approach. And if he is, I guess this is something that we would need to fix in a 0.42 release, because the way it is now, it's not very helpful for SDK generation. Then that's the message I got. Although you think we could keep 0 for SDKs as they are and fix this in the next release?
We could, on my side, I hardcode the SDK to be when the field name is a priority, resolution, or ticket type, I say it's a string. I hardcode and say it's non-empty string. I hardcode it into non-empty string.
Okay.
For Java and Go, I don't know. And I have also for another type, I also have this kind of hack. If the name is name, I don't remember, I have hardcode the type. So
yeah, on the Go SDK, it was building some logic as well to a type string, but defining some extra constant in so that those are available as values. But yeah, anyways. So on the Java side, Jalander, what do you think? Would it be okay to go for a similar solution that for these fields, then we hardcode string for now?
Yeah, so even like with the current implementation also, I'm like using string, so it accepts any object. So I'm just using string to set to the external API for the SDK users. So I think that works without this as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. So bottom line proposal is we switch to string. We could use the examples field to provide the current enum if you want. I would tend to do that. And then for the 0.4 SDKs, we would basically hardcode it for string for now, and then in the next release, we will make this change.
and we will do the same for resolution and ticket type.
yeah, I guess all the places where we have this kind of setup.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good.
Should we add that
So,
issue to the milestone 05 then? If we have such a milestone already.
yeah, we do. Oh, yeah, it's not the mice. Um, all right. Good. That was very useful. So thanks for that, David, for bringing that up and for joining today for the discussion. All right. Anything else we need to discuss today?
Just to say that I don't bring up into the meeting because we discussed this topic, but just because I don't have meeting and conflict with work today.
Yeah, it was good to see you in general. I mean, if we did set up a different meeting, we'll set up for SDKs with some doodle or some way to see where it would work for people. So you have an opportunity as well to see when it might work in future for an SDK meeting if you want to add more opportunities to join.
Okay, but as I work for CDEvents on my free and spare time, it will be difficult in my case.
I see. Anyway, thanks a lot for your contributions to the Rust SDK and CDEvents. Cool. Then let's finish 10 minutes earlier today. Good to see everyone. Bye-bye.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.